Morning, y'all. Here I'm in Arizona today, just doing a little hike. I'm here for the holiday season, seeing the parents and stuff like that. So just getting out, stretching the legs. And since I'm in Arizona, I thought we'd talk about the Arizona Trail. It's a trail that is probably my favorite trail in the 48. Colorado Trail's up there too. Yeah, I've done the trail now 4 times. I did a yo-yo with a little hayduke in the middle, and it's a great trail. And so I'm going to kind of talk about all of the things you're going to want to know when hiking the Arizona Trail, including food, storage, resupply plan, gear that I carried, why'd I do it 4 times, yeah, and all the necessary info you need. If there's not something that if there's something I didn't cover, feel free to send me a message, and I'll happily answer it for you. Yeah, so let's get into it. So why'd I hike the Arizona Trail 4 times? A lot of people ask me that question. Well, for it being an 800-mile trail, it has a lot of diversity. A lot of people compare the Arizona Trail with the PCT, just a shorter distance. There's quite a bit of elevation. There's a lot of mountains. You're going to be snowed on. Does not matter which direction and what time of the year, unless you're doing it in the summertime. Even then, you can get hailed on. The desert is can be a ruthless place. So yeah, diversity, convenience. I live in Arizona, so it was very convenient for me to hike the Arizona Trail. It's cheap, comparatively speaking, to other trails, long trails, PCT, Colorado Trail. It's cheaper. You know, there's not many towns that you're going through, and the towns that you're going through are very small. There's not really any accommodation in any of these places, so you're not going to be spending a lot of money on hotel rooms or anything like that. There's only a few small, select few places that you'll be able to get a room at any of the towns you're going to be stopping at. You get to go through the Grand Canyon, period. That's cool. Unfortunately, a lot of people rush through that section. The Grand Canyon's very welcoming for Arizona Trail hikers, and very easy to get permits for side adventures or anything like that. If you don't actually want to do the Arizona Trail section of the Grand Canyon, you can do different routes. To go to the backcountry permit office and get some special permits for that. They also have walk-up permits, walk-up campsites. So there's never going to be a time where you're not going to be able to have a campsite at the north or the south rim. And that goes also within the canyon. They have stock sites at each one of Cottonwood, Phantom, and Indian Creek campgrounds. Yeah, animals. Very diverse selection of animals here in Arizona. On the Arizona Trail, I've seen mountain lions, bobcats, elk, bear, rattlesnake, tarantula, scorpion, ringtails, wild bison, wild horses, coyotes. Yeah, it's a very diverse state. It's super, super beautiful. And yeah, so those are some of the reasons that I hiked the trail 4 times. You know, I'm actually thinking about doing it again. So, yeah, it's a nice trail. So maybe I'll see you on trail. All right, how hard is the Arizona Trail? From a physical standpoint, I don't think it's that difficult of a trail. It's sub 1,000 miles, and you know, there is a significant amount of elevation, but it's in a few places, meaning that you're going to have all that elevation in a select few places. It's pretty. The north section of the trail is very flat, other than the Grand Canyon. You know, you can make big miles. You can do very, very big miles in those sections. In the southern section, you have a few mountains you have to go over: Mika, Miller, and Lemon, and they're all very large mountains, 10,000 feet or more. And you're coming from desert level, so you're gaining every bit of foot of elevation. Yeah, so that's, you know, physical aspect. Obviously the Grand Canyon, you have to go up and down that. That's a mile in elevation each way. I think the most difficult thing of the Arizona Trail is the water. The water carries. You know, depending on when you do it, is going to differentiate your water selection options. The first time that I did it, I did it in September. I went northbound, and there wasn't much information on the water reports. In fact, I was the water report, and so I chose to cache water roughly every 35 miles. And I was able to do that with the Arizona Trail Trail Angels. They helped me out in the sections that I couldn't access because of vehicle or how rugged it was getting out there. So I just walked 35 miles every day, and that was it. There wasn't really another option for me. Now the second, third time, and fourth time that I walked it was after good monsoons, which means really nothing other than there is potential for more water to be in the tanks. Or a tank is it's a man-made water containment place, generally for livestock of animals and stuff like that. So first time I did it, I was actually looking for like metal objects of tanks. No. So there could be more water in those, but other than that, you're still going to have, you know, decent water carries. I think, you know, my capacity was 5-6 liters. I know people have done it in 4. You know, I'm okay with carrying good water, so I don't have to filter any of this stuff, double filter it. Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's too physically difficult or anything like that. I think it's more water carries, and you have to plan, because, you know, in the desert there's not too many towns, so, you know, you're gonna have some larger carries like Flagstaff to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Then you're gonna have from the south rim to basically the border, because Jacob Lake doesn't really have a whole lot of stuff there other than cookies. So you can't really count on that as a resupply unless you're mailing a box. But yeah, so completely doable for really anybody. I don't think you need that much training other than just being prepared to carry some water. Gear. All right, what did I carry for gear? Start with the big 3. So I was using an Osprey Exos 48 backpack, a Mountain Hardwear Ghost ultralight 1-person tent, and a Mountain Hardwear Phantom Flame 15-degree sleeping bag. I carried for a shell for warmth. I carried a Frog Togs Extreme Ultralight, and that was my warm gear and rain gear and wind protection. I had a Nemo Switchback sleeping pad, a Tokes titanium spoon, and 700 milliliter pot, a BRS 3000 stove that weighs 28 grams or something. I wore convertible pants in the Mazatals and the Superstitions. The trail can get pretty rough, so I was glad that I had those zip-offs that I could throw on and protect my legs from cat claw and all the sharp things on the trails. There's tent stakes, MSR Groundhog Minis. The terrain out here in Arizona is pretty sandy or hard from time to time as well. And I've just found that other stakes just don't cut it. They just don't do enough for getting deep enough into the ground to hold the tent in place. Realistically, most of the time, my cowboy camp, you know, you're in the desert, so it doesn't rain. Not true. We have monsoon season here, and crazy things happen in the desert. The last time I did the AZT, it was raining on us in the Grand Canyon, like in the Grand Canyon. It's common for it to hit the rim, but never to get in the bottom. So that was very peculiar. We had snow 3 times. So yeah, you can cowboy camp most of the time, but you will eventually need some protection from the elements. I think I already mentioned 5 to 6 liter water carry. I think anything else that's really important. Oh yeah, sun umbrella. I had the 6 Moons design, and yeah, that was a lifesaver. Protect me from the elements and mostly from the sun, and that allowed me to go further. If I had sun protection, just put my head down and go. That was a very key piece of my kit. Yeah. So food resupply. So food resupply for the Arizona Trail. This is what I did. You don't have to listen to it, but it's a suggestion. So I started, headed north, carried enough food to get me to Vail, which is a suburb of Tucson. And then from Tucson, Vail, I went to Oracle. There's a Dollar General there. And then I went Oracle to Pine. Yeah, I think Oracle to Pine. And I did Roosevelt Reservoir, Flagstaff, South Rim, Border. That was my food strategy. Oh, that's right, I did send a box to Mormon Lake, and I went to Kearney. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to redo this video. Maybe not. Yeah, so Kearney, sent a box to Mammoth, Mormon Lake. There's nothing at Mormon Lake, so keep that in mind. Kearney's a great town, really friendly people, nicest town on the AZT, period. Definitely go there over Superior. Yeah, so that was my food strategy. So Patagonia, skip Patagonia, Vail, Oracle, Mormon, Pine, Flagstaff, South Rim, Utah. Obviously it's different in reverse, so if you're doing in reverse, you can get your food in Kanab, and then from Kanab over to the start of the trail, and then you can do South Rim, Flagstaff, so on and so forth. So that's what you need for the food. So let's talk food storage and rodents and animals and stuff like that. So I mentioned there's a lot of diversity of animals in Arizona, which is true. But as far as protection from animals, a simple rodent hang will suffice, meaning you don't need a Ursac, you don't need an Ursac, you don't need a bear canister, a bear bag, or anything like that. If you have a food bag, it could be as simple as just a little plastic bag and a little bit of rope, and you just hang it from a small branch or a rock, or even what I did is I just threw my stuff in the bushes, as long as it was, 5 feet off the ground, 4 feet, 3 feet, you're fine. Javelinas are pretty ruthless as well, and they can get your food. But your biggest concern are desert mouse, kangaroo mice, stuff like that, chipmunks. So yeah, you don't really have to worry about bears or marmots or pikas or anything like that you'd find on other trails. So yeah, you don't have to carry any special food storage method, whatever if you have a little Z-Pax Dyneema bag, that's fine. When's a good time to do the Arizona Trail? Well, there's about 2 times of the year that you can attempt the Arizona Trail, and that would be spring or fall. I've done it south, I've done it north. In my humble opinion, it's a southern trail. It's a Sobo trail. You end at Mexico. If you were to go northbound, you have to do a lot of really massive climbs from the beginning. Most people don't have their trail legs by then, and get their butt kicked by Tucson and throwing the towel. So I'd recommend going southbound. Months to start, I've done southbound in April, I've done southbound in September, I've done southbound in October. It snowed every time, it rained every time, the weather was similar every time. So it's really up to you which way and what you want to do, but that's my recommendation. I would go southbound, and I would start in late September. And you'd be done by mid-November. Will you see other hikers? Yes and no. Will you see other thru hikers? Probably not. If there is a place, it'll be at the Grand Canyon. And that's where you're going to run into everybody, is going to be at the Grand Canyon. The last time that I did this trail was after our Sobo attempt in 2021 on the PCT got ended because of the fires in National Forest closing. Headed over to the Arizona Trail and headed southbound. There was a lot of people that kind of did that year. I went to the Colorado Trail as well, and then Arizona Trail, or a combination thereof. And we met like 10 hikers at the South Rim at the allocated campsite 65 and 64 for $6. There was a lot of us there. We had a great time. After that, we didn't really run into many other hikers. There's a lot of people that do sections and stuff like that, but there's not too many people that are doing through hikes. So you're not going to see too many people on trail unless you're near Flagstaff, the beginning of the trail, or the end of the trail, I should say, the Mexican border, Montezuma Pass, near Tucson, near the cities, and near the Grand Canyon. Other than that, you're not going to see anybody on trail. So, you know, if part of your plan is, if something were to go wrong, you'd rely on somebody else. That's not really a good plan on the Arizona Trail, because you're not going to see too many people. Cell phone coverage is a thing if you have Verizon or AT&T. T-Mobile, which is I have, T-Maybe, what I call it. Not the best for service on the Arizona Trail. So, you know, keep that in mind. If you're foreigners or coming from out of the country, I would recommend Verizon SIM card for this trail. How long does it take? Depends on the person. Trying to think here. The fastest I did it was 29 days. And the slowest I did it was 50, almost 50 days. So, you know, everybody's different. Everybody can walk a different mileage per day. You know, it's 800 miles. Could it be a 2-month trail? Sure, 100%. It shouldn't be, but it can be. Injuries happen, weather happens, things happen, zeros, and all that stuff. Actual hiking days, you know, it shouldn't be more than, you know, 45 actual hiking days to finish that trail in its entirety. Trail magic, trail angels. Trail magic doesn't really exist on this trail. If there's water in the water cache, that's your trail magic. And all the time that I've hiked this trail, I think I've only received actual trail magic twice. One was from Sequoia, and that was near Kearney, Superior area. And the other one was near Pine. And these were people that, you know, one person had done the trail and the other person's kind of like a liaison in the Kearney area. You may run into Sequoia, great guy, great grilled cheeses. But you know, on the PCT and stuff like that, Appalachian Trail, you can almost count on trail magic as part of your resupply, which is really the greatest thing to do, because, you know, you're kind of expecting it, which isn't good. You know, we don't deserve this stuff. Just because we're out here hiking doesn't mean we deserve the trail magic, which I feel like a lot of hikers are kind of entitled in that sense. I think I could be guilty of that too sometimes. But yeah, so don't really count on that as part of your plan, because it's not going to happen that way. Cost. How much does it cost to hike the trail? I'm cheap. I'm a really frugal person, and I find ways to just keep it extremely cheap. For example, I did the PCT in sub $4,000. So with that being said, it took 4 months. So it's about $1,000 a month is what I would say. You know, because there isn't that many towns on the Arizona Trail, you're not going to have that many opportunities to be spending town money, accommodation, and stuff like that. So it'll be cheaper in that aspect. So I think, you know, I think for me, I was around $700 a month. So you finish the trail in $1,200 or as much as $2,000. So once again, it's up to you, speed, days, town days, all that good stuff. So relatively cheap, comparatively speaking, I guess. Getting to the beginning and getting out of the end of the trail. So I think for the northern part of the trail, it's easier to go to Kanab. I think you can fly into Page. I've never done that. I've always gone to Kanab. Why Kanab? That's where they have the application office for the Wave. Google that. Thank me later. And the road that the Arizona Trail is on that gets you to the border campground is the same road that the Wave is the access point, which is Wire Pass Trailhead, Buckskin Gulch, all that. So go to the BLM office for the application process, which I think the raffle starts at 9 a.m. You get there and just start talking to people. Most people are going to be going there for the day, so you can get a ride. So I think that's pretty easy to get in there. Now, if you're getting out, trying to get out of the northern border, the Utah border, you just head out of the campground, you make a left onto that road, and you walk, I think it's like 2 miles, and you get to Wire Pass Trailhead. Hitch from there. Then you can hitch to the main road, on the main highway there, and you can get to Big Water, Page, Kanab, and yeah. All right, so southern exit's not as easy. So obviously the town to get in is to Tucson. From Tucson, you're gonna need some help. There are some trail angels. There was a shuttle at one point in time. COVID, it wasn't running, so I don't know if it's back in fruition, but it was like Sun Travel shuttle that went from Tucson and would take you to Sierra Vista or something like that. Then from Sierra Vista, you're still a long ways. Yeah, the southern exit is not as easy for access points. It's actually one of the reasons that I did the trail as many times as I did, is that because the first time I walked from my house to the Arizona Trail to the border and then walked back home because of the difficulty and COVID and all that stuff. So yeah, the southern, I would try to arrange a ride, if you can share it with some other people. Good luck on that. People who know me know that I hike in sandals only, really. And the Arizona Trail is no different. I hiked in Tiva Hudson's. Really enjoyed sandals, period. Did the PCT as well in sandals. Colorado Trail, a few others. But I mean, hike your own hike. Just be aware, there's a lot of things in Arizona that want to stick you. Lots of sharp things. And you know, with sandals you have to be cognizant of where you're stepping. With shoes you do too. There's no exception. Just because you have your 1 millimeter of cloth does not protect you from a rattlesnake, does not protect you from cat's claw, mesquite, jumping cholla, teddy bear chollas, cactus needles, you know, none of that stuff. So just, you know, sometimes you got to take it a little bit slower because of that. But yeah, Arizona Trail is great. Feel free to send me any messages, any questions. Remember to subscribe and like the video if this content was worth your time. Cheers, we'll see you out there.